Good afternoon. For those that do not know me, I'm Steve Skinner. I'm the director of the Greenwood Genetics Center. It's my great pleasure and my great honor to welcome you all here today for the ribbon cutting for the Carroll A. Campbell Jr. Alzheimer's Initiative. If you didn't pick it up from the logo, the Greenwood Genetics Center is starting our 50th year this year, and we're celebrating our rich past history of providing compassionate patient care and leading genetic advancements in South Carolina. But we're really excited about looking forward to being at the forefront of genetic innovations and discoveries for the next 50 years and beyond. And in the excitement and promise of genetic medicine really lies in the reality of treatments. This is what we've been pointing to for decades, and fortunately that time is here now. The Greenwood Genetics Center is committed to developing collaborations like you'll hear about today with MitoSense and the Veterans Administration to advance the development of treatments for both rare genetic disorders as well as common disorders such as Alzheimer's disease. Today you'll learn more about this collaborative Alzheimer's research effort that we're embarking on, as well as the science behind this promising research, as well as more about the person that we're honoring today, the late Governor Carroll Campbell. After today's remarks, we'll invite you upstairs for a formal ribbon cutting and to look at the biospheric system, kind of the cornerstone of this initiative as far as visual instrumentation. And we'll have people to help guide you on the way. But now the hard part of my remarks, and that's recognizing those. We're really honored to have each and every one of you here today. You're all extremely important to the life and history of the Greenwood Genetics Center, but we're particularly honored and grateful for Governor McMaster being here. Governor McMaster was pivotal in this collaboration coming together. He was pivotal in the Greenwood Genetics Center being part of this collaboration, and he was very instrumental in it being here in Greenwood Genetics Center. So we're very grateful to your role in that. And we're very honored to have several members of the South Carolina General Assembly, and I may miss some, so if I didn't catch you, feel free to stand up and say your name. But we're very pleased to have Senator Billy Garrett with us, Senator Mike Gambrell, Representative John McCravey. I met Representative Chapman and Senator Shealy as they were coming in. And if there are others, I apologize if I didn't catch your name or catch your face. But we've been very fortunate to have tremendous support from our General Assembly for 50 years, really, to allow us to accomplish everything we've done. So we're very grateful to each and every one of you. There are also local elected officials here. I know Greenwood Mayor Brandon Smith is here. Members of City Council and County Council from Greenwood are here. So we're very grateful for everyone's presence here. And also want to acknowledge many of our board of directors from the Greenwood Genetics Center Board of Directors and our Greenwood Genetics Center Foundation Board are here as well. So thank you to all of you. And then I also had the pleasure of meeting from the South Carolina Alzheimer's Association, Cindy Allewine and Sam Wiley, and I believe Taylor Wiley was also on the coming. Taylor Wilson, excuse me, got it wrong there. Thank you. So we're glad to have y'all here with us today. And then an individual I just met that you'll hear from a little bit later, a family member of the former Governor Campbell, Mike Campbell, one of his sons is here. I don't believe the other family members are able to make it here. So I will stop. If I didn't recognize you, I apologize, but we're glad and grateful for everyone that's here and all that you've done for the Greenwood Genetics Center. Now I'm going to invite Dr. Rich Steet director of the Research Institute here, to share some of the science behind what we're celebrating today. So, Rich.
So, distinguished guests, thank you for gathering today to commemorate an event that I believe marks a step forward for the Greenwood Genetics Center, and to hear about a new scientific advance called mitochondrial transplantation, which we believe has tremendous promise for the future of medicine. In the next couple minutes, I'd like to share what this advance means in a way that I hope can be appreciated by everyone. So imagine the cells in our bodies as bustling cities, each with their own set of power stations called mitochondria. These power stations are responsible for generating the energy to keep the city running smoothly, but sometimes they can falter due to age and environmental or genetic factors, and this leads to energy shortages that will impact the entire city. Mitochondrial transplantation is like an urban renewal project for our cells. Our collaborators at MitoSense have figured out how to isolate mitochondria from healthy donor cells using a process that we will replicate here at the GGC in the clean room facility that you will tour momentarily. We can then take those purified mitochondria and transplant them back into cells or animal models like zebrafish and mice, and eventually into patients that have struggling power stations, revitalizing them and hopefully slowing the progression of any decline and decay. This mode of therapy holds immense promise for any disease caused by faulty mitochondria, including neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. In individuals afflicted with Alzheimer's, damaged mitochondria in the neurons eventually trigger these brain cells to die, causing the memory loss and cognitive decline that is associated with this devastating condition. By providing a fresh and healthy power source, we aim to mitigate these damaging effects and offer hope for a better quality of life. Furthermore, we believe this type of therapy can also benefit the growing number of pediatric patients seen here at the Greenwood Genetics Center with defects in their own mitochondria. This would represent an important extension of the utility of mitochondrial transplantation. I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Kindy from the VA, up to share his perspective on this technology and another group of patients that will benefit from it.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. Governor and distinguished guests, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us. As Dr. Steet and Dr. Skinner mentioned, mitochondrial transplantation or replacement will probably be one of the most logical and viable approaches for treatment of Alzheimer's disease. Over 95,000 individuals in South Carolina and nearly 500,000 American veterans are living with Alzheimer's disease, and we predict there'll be probably a 25 to 26% increase over the next few years due to the aging population. You include me in that. Greenwood Genetics Center, MitoSense, and the VA are partnering on this exciting project to help understand the mechanisms associated with Alzheimer's disease and the development of potential therapeutic approaches to treat this devastating disorder. As Dr. Steet mentioned, mitochondria play a critical role in cellular function, and their lack of function contributes to Alzheimer's disease. There have been a number of papers that have come out recently that point to this fact. So we're right on track, I think, with this. We already have exciting data from our preclinical studies. As Dr. Steet mentioned, my patients are little guys that run around on 4 legs with that, but they provide a tremendous amount of information. We've shown that the new mitochondria can improve behavioral changes, can improve cellular function, reduce inflammation, and reduce the impact of the plaques and tangles that form in the brain. The production of clinical grade mitochondria, which the facility upstairs will do, with GGC will help further our studies and allow to plan clinical trials, not only in veterans, but eventually in the general population. Finally, these studies will help us expand into other neurological and neurodegenerative diseases that affect our veteran population. As you may know, a lot of them have traumatic brain injury or TBI, post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, Parkinson's disease, PD, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or ALS, as well as Alzheimer's disease. In addition, we are working with the Greenwood Genetics Center on cellular and preclinical models of pediatric disorders, okay? The VA is now broadening. We have women and now children kind of affiliated with it. So the VA is actually expanding in that. So we're offering a great opportunity here to work with pediatric disorders to determine the beneficial effects of mitochondrial transplantation. So thank you for your time. And what I'd like to do is introduce Van Hipp, who's a chairman of the board of MitoSense, and actually was one of the key people in getting this whole thing started. So Van, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kendi. And I want to say a word about Dr. Kendi. I didn't know him before, and he was the man that the United States Department of Veterans Affairs brought in as their top neuroscientist to do the validation studies. And he told me that years ago he was an endowed chair at the Medical University of South Carolina. He was the man back then that the late Governor Campbell and the former First Lady Iris Campbell went to see at MUSC. And now he's the neuroscientist of the VA who's done the validation studies. This thing has come full circle. I also want to join Dr. Skinner in thanking the folks from the Alzheimer's Association, Taylor and Sam and Cindy. Y'all do a tremendous job, and we appreciate y'all being here. And of course, the General Assembly. We've got so many y'all and who particularly I see Senator Shealy and others who have led the fight that we're all in today. And of course, my old friend John McCravey, who showed up. I've known John for a long time. And he showed up with a bag of pecans from '96 and some honey from one of his beehives. So I'm taking that back home. Today marks a significant milestone in our journey towards understanding and combating neurodegenerative diseases. This ribbon cutting at the Greenwood Genetics Center, made possible through generous funding, is not just about opening doors to a new facility. It's about unlocking the potential of groundbreaking research. As recent literature, including studies from 2022 to just now, show an increasingly confirmed mitochondrial dysfunction is intricately linked to neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. At MitoSense, we are committed to harnessing this knowledge and turning it into actionable results. This new chapter at the Greenwood Genetics Center brings us closer to that goal, and we are honored to be a part of this pioneering effort. Let me just say that this is the right place, and this is the right team to tackle this challenge. Let's look at the facts, and let's look at recent developments. The Greenwood Genetics Center, under the leadership of Dr. Skinner and Dr. Steep, it is a hidden gem medically, not just for South Carolina, but for this nation. And we should be proud of what they've already done in South Carolina. The VA population, there are more and more studies coming out right now showing that veterans are more likely to get Alzheimer's than the general population. In fact, the University of Wisconsin Medical School just came out with a study this past November that was published by the Alzheimer's Association showing an increased likelihood of veterans with regards to Alzheimer's disease. And the link between mitochondrial dysfunction and Alzheimer's. The Mayo Clinic observed this back in 2012, that before Alzheimer's patients' memories went, they saw the mitochondrial dysfunction beginning. And just last year, Cornell Medical School came out with a study funded by the NIH saying that mitochondrial dysfunction may be the primary cause of Alzheimer's disease. Yes, today is a great day in the fight against Alzheimer's disease. And this is the right team, and this is the right place to win that fight. Thank you. And at this time, I want to call on a dear friend. Carroll Campbell was a trailblazer as governor. He did so much for so many, for the state, brought in jobs, and Miss Campbell, a great first lady. And let me just say, the apple did not fall far from the tree. And we're honored today to have Mike Campbell, a member of the South Carolina Workers' Compensation Commission, to represent the Campbell family. Mike.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and it's so nice to be back up in the upstate. I have a lot of very fond memories up here. We had a farm not far up the road in Lawrence, just over in the Greenville County, Lawrence County area. So we used to spend a lot of time growing up here. I had an aunt that lived here in Greenwood, and we have a lot of great relationships. I've seen a lot of old faces today that I haven't seen in a while, and it's good to see everybody. We had a very special relationship. Of course, our family and the Self family were close over the years, but I want to particularly thank Van for not just his comments and his work on this initiative, but obviously first and foremost for your friendship, but for your friendship to South Carolina. He has done quite well for himself and has been on the cutting edge of a lot of things that have impacted this state over the years, and we really, really appreciate it. And when Van first called me and told me about this, I could sense, first of all, anybody that knows Van Hip knows two things about him. He does not lack for enthusiasm, and he does not take no for an answer. So I knew that this was going to get done with him at the helm doing this. But thank you, Van. I really appreciate it. Dr. Skinner, what a wonderful facility you have here, and I can't wait to take a look at it. Another good friend standing up here, and we'll be hearing from him in just a few minutes, my good friend Henry McMaster. And thank you not only for being here, but for the leadership that you have led our state through. You have led our state through some hard times, and we really appreciate it, Governor. Thank you. You know, one thing that we have as a family been very honored over the years are the number of things that have been named after Dad. And of course, they're all very humbling, and we are flattered by anything that somebody wants to attach his name to. But this is particularly meaningful for us. Obviously, like so many families, what we dealt with as a family, which kind of came out of the blue, like so many families have had to deal with, it really threw us for a loop. And we didn't know, we weren't prepared. We just didn't know a whole lot about it. Ironically, the one disease that Dad had always been concerned about was Alzheimer's. And so it took its toll in a very, he was diagnosed when he was 59 years old and passed away when he was 65. And so nobody has the exact same journey as somebody else on this path, but you have relationships that you establish. And one thing that we wanted to do as a family, because as much as we are so proud of his legacy and everything that he ever accomplished for South Carolina, for this country, the one thing that we were most proud of is what he did to try and advance Alzheimer's. At the time that he came out and publicly announced that he had Alzheimer's, he was only the second public official that had ever come out and made that declaration. Ronald Reagan was the first one. And he wanted to do it exactly how President Reagan had done it, and wrote a letter to the people of the state. As time went along, obviously we went through the treatment, and we started looking at what the treatment options were. And one thing that, with our work, that when we got involved with the Alzheimer's Association, one thing that has become crystal clear is that we are going to find a cure for this disease. It might not be a month from now, a year from now. I don't know how long it's going to be, but we will find there are too many advancements that are being made in medicine today that we are going to find a cure for this disease. And while Dad, I know he's up there looking down on us right now, I know that he would be particularly proud of this, not just because to have his name associated with it and with the work that's being done here, but because it's being done in South Carolina. That's one thing that he firmly believed, that he got up every day of his life believing, and that was that South Carolina could accomplish anything that anybody else could around this world. He knew it globally. He understood it when he went out to sell the state, and he always told people, he said, look, he said, I've showcased our strengths. I don't hide our weaknesses. And if somebody else can do it, we can do it in South Carolina. And the fact that this is here, to echo what Van said, it cannot be, that is just phenomenal that we get to do this and see what's going to happen. That really will be, I think, long-term a game changer for South Carolina, for this country, but most importantly for those families that are out there dealing with this. Obviously there are so many facets to this, and we can't, I think with all the research, one thing that we cannot also lose sight of is what the caregivers go through and what they have to deal with on a daily basis. And so many times we see caregivers literally killing themselves in the process trying to take care of that loved one. We don't want that to happen either. And the best way we can do that is eradicate this disease, and we're going to. But thank y'all very much, and we are deeply, deeply honored to have this named after him. Appreciate it. And now at this time, I'd like to bring up a gentleman who obviously is no stranger to these parts. And thank you for letting me visit your district today. But he's Senator Billy Garrett's going to have a few words for you. But thank you all again. Thank you.
Governor Carroll Campbell, what an amazing human being, and such a dangerous disease. And here in Greenwood, the Greenwood Genetics Center steps forward with all of its partners, recently joining with USMC, and together they're going to solve this problem. It's one of the worst problems that there is. A lot of us are going through it. A lot of our families, every one of us probably, have been touched by this horrid disease, Alzheimer's. And yet these doctors, I'd like to say something about Dr. Roger Stevenson. I'd like to say something about Steve Skinner. These two men have made this possible. And so I'd like to have a little, we couldn't have done this without all of the donors. And I just wanted to say a few things about the donors. They have been so good and they're so helpful to Greenwood, and I hope they continue. But I just wanted to say thank you to the General Assembly. Mike, Katrina, thank you folks for being here. John McCravey, thank you for being here. We've got all of our legislative folks here. I look above me and I see Billy Odell. All of the people that have worked, Marion Carnell, all the folks behind us who have worked to try to make this possible. We need to thank, of course, Governor Henry McMaster for you, but for you, this would never have happened. So we know it's you that makes this possible. I want to thank the Self Foundation, but for you, it wouldn't have happened. There's so many of you. The Fullerton Foundation, Clemson University, University of South Carolina, School of Medicine, and others. All of the donors. Every little bit helps. Keep up the good work. Let's solve this problem. And now, without further ado, I want to introduce the governor of the great state of South Carolina, Henry McMaster.
Thank you, Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Please be seated, please. I think these fellows have already said it all. So I'll be very brief. I would like to echo what Mike Campbell just said about his daddy, and he was exactly right, and everybody here knows it. And not only do we know it, but people all around the world know it. And that's why you see all these businesses and industries coming to South Carolina. They are investing hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. People never set foot in the country are coming to South Carolina. And it's always because of the people. Every one of them tells me that. They talk about the tax structure. They talk about this, talk about that. Incentives. All states have incentives. All states, everybody in the South, we're in a fierce battle for competition for economic growth. But it's always the people, and every one of them says that. And I'm standing here looking at the people. Y'all probably don't realize what a good-looking bunch of folks this is. But it's all our progress is based on three things. It's our economic strength, our educational excellence, and our environmental and cultural heritage. And standing here and looking at you, and looking at this place, you see the convergence of all three of those pillars right here. This is an academic gold mine right here. This is a great example of excellence in education. And it's also an example in economic strength. This is the future we're looking at right here. And also it's an example of our environmental beauty. Just look out the window. I never have been through Greenwood that I didn't think that this was one of the prettiest places in the whole world. And we know now that people are agreeing with us. The more they come, the more they want to stay. So this Alzheimer's, again, all of those things, I'm just delighted to hear this news. Last time I was here, I was looking at the zebrafish. I didn't understand them, and I'm not sure I understand this, but I'm happy it's happening. And I'm glad to be a part of it, and I'm delighted to be here with all of you today. Thank you.